Start of recording. Today is March 14th, 12:15 a.m. I am Dr. with approval from the site director to interviews SCP, also known by site personnel as the listener. The description for the SCP is on file, but to generalize it for researchers and scientists down the line, SCP is a humanoid being. Currently, it is unknown if it possesses a cognitohazard, as all tests with SCP have proven inconclusive. All personnel who have come into contact with SCP often speak things they may not often normally say. Examples of this may be deep dark secrets they've sworn to their graves, fears, and confessions, and etc. Although this SCP appears to never speak, in all recordings of past tests and interviews, it has been shown that the D-class subjects would always be following some sort of story or narrative, as if they were holding a conversation with the SCP. Yet when asked what the SCP has said to them, they are unable to remember. After deeming the SCP as safe, I am the first scientist to conduct an official interview with the SCP. Before I start, I would like to note that I believe the effects of SCP have already taken place, as normally I would not have stated the SCP's description before an interview. SCP, I am Dr. I will be asking you some simple questions so that we can further understand you and where you may have come from. It is to my understanding that you may be able to communicate through what some would say as telepathy. Am I correct? Alright, confirmed to be able to communicate through said means. Now, we at the Foundation call you SCP, or the listener. Is there a name that you are known by? No name remembered. But the listener has grown fond to you. So, how did you come to be? Surely you didn't appear out of nowhere. So you were what we call a baseline human. You were born as one, and you grew up as one, okay? But one day, when you woke up, you were muted, unable to speak. However, you were able to hear and communicate with other humans through what we discussed earlier. And that's how we, the Foundation, got tipped off about you. And that's when we contained you and brought you in. Alright, now on to the more pressing questions. How were you able to make those D-class personnel reveal things that they refused to reveal to the interrogation staff so easily? You're unaware. Just happens to everyone you speak to. Interesting. Alright, next question. How are you able to bypass all of our security measures when it comes to containing you? Not only have you managed to make it all the way to the site director's office without getting spotted by site security, but you also did it without having any of the proper clearance to pass through our secure doors that you need a security guard in order to get to. You don't know either. I have reasonable suspicion not to believe you and that you're withholding information from me. You can promise me all you want. I'm used to this treatment from other humanoids, but we shall be moving on, since this is an interview, not an interrogation. How has your stay been here? Nice? Pleasant? Any way we can accommodate you? You wish you had a better room? Surely. Just put a list of how you like it, and I'm sure I can arrange it for you. Okay. Alright. How are the site personnel treating you? Fairly? That's good to hear. Where are you? You're at site in the state of... I must ask you to refrain from using your anomalous qualities on me. You don't know how to control them? Well, I wish for you to try. I may get reprimanded for telling you classified information. But let me just write that down. You are unaware how to control your qualities. Thank you. About me? Oh. I'm single. Not much of a dating game when you're a part of the Foundation. And trust me, dating colleagues is never a good idea. If anything negative happens, then that creates a possibility of rifts to form on the site staff, which would have negative side effects on the site's security itself. Has there been any occurrences of site personnel dating humanoid SCPs? That is a strange question to ask, but if there has been occurrences, they are unknown, because close relationships between staff and SCPs and other staff members in particular are strictly forbidden. Am I able to make an exception for you? No, I cannot. Back on focus, SCP. You find me attractive. Well, you flatter me, SCP. But let us keep things professional here. You do not wish to. Sadly, we must. SCP, I need you to sit back down right now. What? Sorry, I must have zoned off there. I apologize for that. That's very odd behavior of me. I do honestly apologize for that. Well, thank you for your time, SCP. You provided us very useful information today. I'm sure we'll be able to conduct more interviews with you for us to delve further into how you came across the anomalies that you contain. Well, until our next meeting, SCP. End recording.